together, ready for restoration, ready to restore our great county of Gwinnett to its inimitable beauty, only as the prominent author, poet, and civil rights activist Maya Angelou said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." We cannot take for granted the lessons that we have learned. The reality is, no one in this room, certainly the message that I've shared with Gwinnett County Public Schools staff, students, families, and community, no one in Gwinnett County will ever be able to say, "We can't do this." The beauty of the fact that we have come through this storm gives us a proof point that nothing will ever be considered impossible. So we cannot take for granted the lessons that we've learned, the inequities that have been brought to light in the wake of the pandemic. And as we grapple with what it means to live now in an endemic, one of the most significant ways I can think of communicating to our community is to simply say, thank you. Thank you to our first responders. Thank you to our educators. Thank you to our countless volunteers, without whom we would not have the support and service that we need. Thank you, including you in the room today. Thank you. Those who helped make this pandemic more manageable for so many of our students and families. To be honest about the lessons that I have learned, that we have learned, and how we will carry them forward. As your superintendent in Gwinnett County Public Schools, I have learned from the pandemic. I have learned the commitments that we will and we must make moving forward in partnership and service of our 180,000 children. And once again, one of whom my wife and I still claim on our taxes. The irony is, last night, if my eyes are droopy, it means that I'm tired. I'm not perfect, but I was able to pick our son up at the airport because he flew in from Washington State to be with us for the weekend. So I say that to say, there are some lessons that we've learned, and I want to share with you the top 5 lessons that we've learned in Gwinnett County Public Schools. You may be familiar with them. The first lesson is that we must lead with empathy. Empathy is defined and described as the ability to understand, to the extent possible, what it is like to walk in someone else's shoes, what it is like to understand and share the feelings of others. The pandemic impacted each of us, though not precisely in the same way. Whether you contracted COVID, lost a loved one, had children learning at home, had changes in your employment status, we've heard these stories. Whether you saw those empty shelves at the supermarket, certainly there were some common experiences that we all shared, again, no matter where we were in the time of this pandemic. Empathy allows us to feel for others. The examples that many of you have already shared, that you all live, empathy allows us to not only to feel for others, but to know who and how we can support those who've been impacted differently than we were. Number 2, the pandemic reinforced the need for us to shift our focus from all to each and every. And what do I mean by that? When we say all, you can hide individuals in that number. When I identify each of you as an individual, I then can address your needs individually, and that's exactly the type of care and concern we need to provide. Third, effectiveness and efficiency make a difference in how well we're able to support our students, our families, and our staff now and into the future. We passed out meals, we learned with materials that were provided remotely. We actually used broadband to support our learning, and we had drive-through graduations. We did whatever it took, no matter where we were. Fourth, noted author Carol Dweck reminds us that students, children, and yes, even those 6 feet tall, 17-year-old athletes or drama students are still children. Remember, what we know about brain development is that Our brains are not fully developed until the age of 26 to 27. So know that we have children among us, even in their most mature years. Perfection, not excellence. We are working towards making perfect progress. We are not perfect, but we want to continue moving forward in the right way for all the right reasons. And finally, the fifth lesson, what I know to be true as a parent, as a teacher, as a former principal, as a superintendent, is that we cannot do this work alone. And I would never, dare I say, never, ever even try. So today, I thank you, each and every one of you, as part of Gwinnett Cares, for being part of the solution to provide support and service to those who need it and when they need it. Gwinnett County Public Schools, past, present, and future, will continue to provide that support and service and be a part of this team. We are, today, also a part of Team GCPS. Thank you for your willingness to serve and support, and thank you for having me today. Thank you.